Okay, here we are on Fossil Mystery 2. We're learning about how do scientists know about the past, and we will examine evidence of fossils scientists found in the Gobi Desert and what they reasoned about the evidence they found. So we're looking at evidence and reasoning, arguing from evidence, how scientists do this with fossils. So we're in China. Sound familiar? You're in China in social studies right now, too. We're in an area called Mongolia. This is about 70 million years ago in the Gobi Desert. Before this was Mongolia, but it's the desert of Mongolia. There was a massive a sandstorm, 70 million years ago. How do we know this? This is an important question, a very important question. I want you to keep asking throughout this whole unit. What's the question? Did you hear what I said? This question right here. I'm going to move this guy out of the way. What's the question we're going to keep asking? How many transitions can Mrs. Kachuk make in one slide? Keep going. How, wait for it, start to predict. What's the question? How do how do we, am I making you dizzy yet? How do we know? How do we know this? Finally, Mrs. Kachuk finally said it. How do we know this? This is an important question, and why all those obnoxious animations? Every time we come across something in this unit, it's good in life too, but in this unit, I want you to ask yourself, how do we know this? Because that's the key to the evidence and reasoning. Scientists don't just make it up, they do have evidence and reasoning. Okay? 70 million years ago in the Gobi Desert of Mongolia, there was a massive snowstorm. Not a snowstorm. I keep saying that. Sandstorm. How do we know this? How do we know there was a massive sandstorm? What did scientists find and what did they reason about this? This area right here has a huge amount of what, even to this day? Huge amount of what? Many of these were found in ways that showed dinosaurs and others died suddenly. What did they find that made them reason that dinosaurs and others died suddenly? What's that word that goes in the blank? Yeah, it's fossils. They found a huge amount, an unbelievable amount of fossils in this area right here. And they reasoned from that and the way that that they died suddenly. Many fossils, many fossils have been found in this area. So in 1923, just a while ago, a group of paleontologists, scientists who study dinosaurs, were digging for fossils in the Gobi Desert. That part of the map we just looked at. A blank is the name for a scientist who studies fossils. What is it? A paleontologist. Paleontologist is the name for scientists that study fossils. Earlier, the paleontologists had found Proceratops. Here's Protoceratops, right? And they found both young and old Protoceratops in the same spot. Right? They found fossils of both young and old. Back to the slide. They found adult Protoceratops, younger baby Protoceratops, actually all different ages, and eggs. Many skeletons of Protoceratops died at the same time in the same spot. What is that? That's their evidence is that many skeletons of Protoceratops were there at the same time, right? They had many different types. And their reasoning, they all died suddenly because different age dinosaurs don't just die all at once in the same spot at the same time. The reason they must have died suddenly. They actually had lots of evidence in the rocks, too, about the sandstorm and the timing and all of that. Okay, so they found all these Protoceratops. Go back here for a minute. They found all these Protoceratops at different ages and different times. And they said, first, why are there so many dinosaur fossils all over here all at the same time? They reasoned there must have been a sandstorm. Protoceratops weren't the only ones they found, but this is what they found. And then, so they reasoned and they figured out there must have been a sandstorm that killed a bunch of them all at once. And that's why this is such a rich area for fossils. And then they found something else. Near where they found all these protoceratops, they found this. What's that? They found this picture, this new picture here. Can't play with that. Okay. They found this near where they found all these other ones. What does that look like to you? Does this look like the same creature? Look at this area. Look at this area. Does that look like the same creature? Think about our fossil footprints. Do they make the same kind of footprint? Do they have the same number of claws? Are they in the same shape? And then they also found the skull of the creature they found on top of the nest. So they reasoned this was a nest. Why do you think they reasoned that was a nest? And they reasoned, and then they found this skull on top of the nest. These two skulls look alike. Do you think this was a Protoceratops on top of the nest? Later, they found more blank and a complete skeleton. What did they find more of? There's our vocabulary word. They found. Stop. They found more fossils. I am. They found more fossils and a complete skeleton. Do these creatures look the same? I hope you're saying no because they don't look the same. Okay. So, how do we know this? What do we see in the fossils that tells you these creatures aren't the same? What you're going to do in tasks is learn about these two creatures, specifically this one, because paleontologists named this new creature Oviraptor based on the things they called it a Oviraptor. Why do you think they named the creature they found Oviraptor? They have a very specific reason why they did. They have a lot of reasoning based on their evidence on what they did. What do you think the Oviraptor was doing on top of the eggs? You're going to learn what paleontologists thought the Oviraptor was doing on top of the eggs. In tasks, you're going to go back to this picture over and over again, looking at these fossils. Does it look like there's something on top of the top of eggs? Does it look like a Protoceratops? They reasoned it was an Oviraptor. I want you to think. Do you think it was? What do you think the Oviraptor was doing on top of the eggs? And then you'll learn about what paleontologists think. Okay. Good luck. Have fun.